Welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever felt completely drained, totally stuck, even when you're trying your best to eat right? Well, today we're going to break down the hidden science behind why that actually happens.
Sound familiar? You're grabbing the low-fat options, the protein bars, all the so-called healthy snacks. You're doing everything you're supposed to, but you're still exhausted and the scale just isn't moving. It's a really frustrating mystery, right? But what if the answer has absolutely nothing to do with your willpower? You see, this idea, it just flips the whole script on how we look at these things. We're always taught to see them as a kind of personal failure. But what if they're actually your body's incredibly smart, protective response to a hidden conflict? Let's go uncover what that conflict is.
Okay, so we're going to go on an investigation. We're going to look at how a totally typical modern diet, even one that looks pretty healthy on the surface, can trigger this constant, low-level state of defense in your body. It's like a silent war that's being fought in your tissues every single day.
And listen, the suspects here aren't rare or exotic. We are talking about everyday stuff. Things like the nitrites in your salami, emulsifiers in sliced bread, sweeteners in that protein bar you had this morning. Now, on their own, they're all considered safe. But when you put them all together, they create this daily cocktail of compounds that, well, they just aren't food. Scientists have a name for them, xenobiotics, which literally just means foreign substances. And your body has to deal with them day in and day out.
So, how does this chemical cocktail actually start causing trouble? Well, our investigation begins right at the first point of entry, the wall of your gut. This is the front line. This is where the hidden war really begins. The whole process follows 4 pretty clear steps. First, you're eating these compounds every day. Second, they start to wear down and breach your gut wall. Third, these foreign compounds slip into your bloodstream, which, of course, triggers an immune alarm. And finally, that alarm signal creates this low-level inflammation that spreads all throughout your body. And here is the absolute key distinction to make. Official safety tests, they usually focus on a single, isolated dose. But that's not the real world, is it? The real problem is the relentless daily drip of this chemical cocktail into our systems. Your body never really gets a break, and it's this constant chronic exposure that creates the real burden.
This gives you a perfect picture of the breach. Okay, think of your gut lining like a fortress wall, right? It's got a protective mucus layer. Well, emulsifiers, the kind you find in salad dressings and ice cream, they act like a solvent. They literally start to dissolve that protective layer, creating tiny little gaps in your body's defenses.
So, the wall is breached. Now what? Well, your body's internal security system detects these intruders, and a silent alarm begins to sound. It is so important to understand this. This is not a full-blown allergy, with hives and swelling. That's a loud 5-alarm fire. What we're talking about is a silent alarm. It's more like a quiet, constant background hum coming from your immune system. It's a persistent, low-level danger signal that's always on, telling your body that something just isn't right.
And this constant humming means your body is releasing a steady trickle of inflammatory signals. These are molecules that basically just run around your system saying, something is wrong, something is wrong. So your body is living in this state of permanent, low-grade alert. You're not technically sick, but you're definitely not truly well either. And this, over time, slowly wears everything down.
So how does this constant state of alert actually affect your body day to day? Well, it forces your biggest tissues, your muscles and your fat, to switch out of performance mode and go into full-on self-defense mode.
Let's look at your muscles first. These inflammatory signals essentially block the doorbell for insulin, so fuel, glucose, can't get inside the cells to power them. That's insulin resistance, right there, happening at the muscle level. This also damages the mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside your cells. And the result? Fatigue, poor recovery from workouts, and finding it really hard to build muscle. Your muscles are literally starving for fuel in a sea of plenty.
Now, let's look at your fat tissue, because this is where it gets really fascinating. It stops being just a passive storage depot for energy and becomes an active immune organ. Under a microscope, scientists can actually see these things called crown-like structures, which are immune cells literally forming a ring around a stressed-out fat cell. It's a visible, microscopic sign that your fat has become a battlefield.
So, your muscles are weak and your fat is inflamed. This brings us right to the core mystery. Why does that stubborn fat refuse to leave no matter what you do?
And there it is. That's the core insight of this whole thing. Your body is actively preventing you from losing weight, not because it's broken, but as a protective measure.
because to your body, burning that fat would be like releasing poison directly into your system. But why? It sounds crazy, right? Well, it's because certain fat-soluble compounds, like preservatives you find in processed foods, get stored inside your body fat. Your fat tissue essentially acts like a little hazardous waste container, locking these molecules safely away from your vital organs to stop them from causing more damage. And this explains that vicious cycle that so many of us get stuck in. You start a diet, your body starts burning fat for fuel. But as it does, these stored compounds get released back into your bloodstream. Your immune system screams, "Intoxication! Red alert!" and immediately slams on the emergency brake, halting all fat burning to recontain the threat. You feel awful, the weight loss stalls, and you have no idea why. So, what on earth can we do about this? Well, this isn't about creating some huge, scary list of bad foods. It's really about learning to read a new kind of food code, to start understanding how different ingredients are sending signals directly to your immune system. And you don't need to memorize hundreds of chemical names either. You just need to look for two main types of signals. First, the gut wall breachers, things like emulsifiers and dressings and baked goods. And second, the fat-stored compounds, like the preservatives you find in so many processed foods. Just minimizing these two categories can dramatically lower the inflammatory load on your body. Ultimately, all of this leads to a fundamental shift in how we think. Food isn't just a pile of calories, protein, carbs, and fat. Every single thing you eat is a piece of information. It's a signal that your immune system reads and then reacts to.
So this is the new way forward. The next time you're in the grocery store and you look at an ingredients list, just ask yourself this one simple question. Is this just fuel, or is this sending a danger signal to my immune system? That one question has the power to change everything.